Welcome everyone to this episode of Beat Teacher Burnout, and I'm so excited with Dr. Christin Booker-Mutero here with us today. She has a doctorate, she's a teacher, so she has a lot of expertise, and she's still in the classroom at the moment, but she is in China. We've never had anyone in China before on the podcast. So welcome, Christin.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited about this opportunity.
Brilliant. Well, we're excited too. So do you want to tell people before we dig in, because I know you've got a really exciting sort of element of your development to share with us. Do you want to just tell people a little bit about you first?
Yes. So, hello everyone. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. I've been in Shanghai for about 8 years now. Before I was in Shanghai, I was actually in the United States Air Force. So, I'm a military veteran. I know people say it's an odd combination. How did I go from military all the way to education? But I'm happy I took the leap. And I enjoy being a teacher very much. And I'm working my way towards senior leadership. Right now, I'm in middle leadership, just as a grade level coordinator and homeroom teacher. But just recently turned 30 and finished my doctorate. My goal was to finish my doctorate before 30. So, yay me. But that's a little bit about me.
That's amazing. So I guess a lot of people on here won't have sort of done a doctorate. What did that mean for you? Did you work alongside it? Did you take time out from the classroom? And did you gain some particular insight into what did you take that had most value, do you think?
So, to answer the first part of your question, I did not take a break from teaching. I have been in school consecutively since I was about 3 years old. I have never taken a break from school. It's deeply rooted in me. So even now, I'm still taking little bits of courses just because, to keep up with trends and technology and all of those things. But no, I worked full time and I had a newborn when I started my doctorate. What was the second part of your question?
So is there something that you learned when you did your doctorate? And I don't know how you did that on top of a full-time job, by the way, but we might go into that later. Something you'd learned that you could share that would be of value to people listening?
I learned that in this day and age, it takes more than a bachelor's degree. Yes, a bachelor's degree is essential, master's degree as well, but I just feel like if you want to set yourself apart from everyone else, dig deep. That doctorate is essential, especially in education. And I learned so much about myself and how resilient I was with getting things done. And I can thank, my time in the military for that, those organizational skills, being disciplined and all of that. So I learned how to be resilient, and I learned way more about teaching. Well, I'm not going to say way more, because on the job training, actually being in the field, you learn a lot. But I learned, I can say, so many terms and abbreviations and all of those little small things and the pedagogies and leveraging data, all of those things, you hear your coordinator say. I learned those things firsthand when I was writing my dissertation, my papers, and all of those things. So I took away a lot of knowledge and brought it back to my team to share. Like when my PYP coordinator and my principal, we have a PD and they'd say something like, that's what I'm writing about, for one of my papers, for my homework. So I had, prior knowledge before we even had a PD at school.
I love that. Wow. So one of the things you just said is you learnt in the military the organizational skills and the discipline. What would you say to teachers who are listening to this, leaders who are listening to this, who are completely overwhelmed with the workload? How did you manage to be a full-time teacher plus do a doctorate plus have a small child? What is the magic key that you have learned?
So every minute, every hour of my day is accounted for. I know what I'm going to do the next day. Before I fall asleep, I already know how my day is going to look. And then I also tell people, you have that internal clock in the morning that wakes you up before your alarm even goes off. And mine may go off an hour or two before my alarm. And you know what I do? I got on my laptop and I did my homework, because if I'm awake, You know how you don't have to get up for school until 7 o'clock, but you may wake up at 5:30. Instead of turning over and going back to sleep, I got up and I did some homework. I didn't waste any time. And then when I got to school, anytime that my students were in a specials class or they were not with me and I had about 40 minutes, I did homework. I prefer coming to school earlier than leaving later because I want to spend time with my family. So I'll come to school an hour early. I'll get up an hour early, do the homework. But it really was about just being disciplined. And my motivation was I'm turning 30. I want to finish this before 30. That's the only thing I thought about while doing my homework. But it was just having that discipline, having a organizer, a calendar. So when I got into the dissertation phase, I had used my planner and I said, okay, this week I'm going to write 8 pages, next week 8 pages. And I would start on Monday. And by the time Friday came, and I only do homework Monday to Friday, no weekends. So by the time Monday came, I would have 2 pages. And then Wednesday, I'd end up with 5 pages. And by Wednesday night or Thursday morning, I would have 8 pages. And instead of stopping at those 8 pages, I just kept going. And then by Friday, I would have 10 pages. And then by the next week, Monday, I have 10. And then I'd start. So I ended up finishing my doctorate a year earlier than I was supposed to, just from not stopping. Like my plan was 2 pages a day. And it ended up, I was in a mood and in a groove. And I just did 4 or 5 pages.
That's interesting, the level of organization. And so you said that you didn't do work at the weekends, or you don't do work. Have you always said that?
Yes, I do not do work on the weekends. Again, I'm going to reference the military because they instill this discipline in us. I prioritize all of my work. If my senior leadership comes to me and they say, hey, we want this completed by October 25th, it's going to be done within 3 or 4 days. I don't like having a long to-do list. I don't like having things lingering on my mind. Remember, you have to do this. Remember, you have to do that. I am one of those people. I'm going to get it done as soon as possible because, again, I like to go home. I like to spend time with my son. I do not take my work laptop home. I do not respond to emails after 4 o'clock, not to parents, not to anyone. And my head of schools is very supportive of that. He is one of those head of schools is like, turn off devices. If it is not an emergency, we do not contact each other. So my head of schools, he started about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And the first thing that came out of his mouth when we met him was he does not respond to emails after 5 and he does not expect us to. And we're not going to do that. And we're not going to send emails. We talk face to face. If we can't find each other face to face, send a text message.
So you have very few emails then?
Yes, few emails. Very few. I think my principal this school year, school started in August. I think my principal has sent maybe 3 or 4 emails in the past month or so.
Okay, I think there'll be staff listening to this going, oh my goodness, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we've got you on here, I want to ask about something you said to me before. You said there is only one way you can get through the day with juggling so much.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it's up leveling.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
So what I call upskilling is just the skills I want to have. I know what I want to do in the future. I want to go into senior leadership. I know if I am complacent and I only do the things I am supposed to do as a teacher, those will not gain me those leadership skills. So I look for other opportunities outside of just my school's professional development to develop myself. I use platforms like Toddle, EduSpark, even the universities I received my degrees from. I still frequent their websites to find free PDs. On LinkedIn, someone is always posting a free session or a conference. So I use those to upskill myself and to also show my leadership, like, hey, I'm dedicated to my craft. I'm dedicated to moving on and just gaining those skills. And also being in multiple roles, like as a classroom teacher, the grade level coordinator, being a part of the student support services team, you never know what you may end up enjoying. I would never think I would be a part of the student support services team, and for that kind of to be that kind of team member, I would say you have to be a very caring and loving person, and you have to love that role. You have to put a lot of dedication into that role. I know I'm a little impatient. I know I get a little frustrated. So I never thought I would be a part of a student support services team. So now just having that skill and being a part of the team, I'm like, oh, I have to learn more. I have to be able to put this on my resume. I have to be able to show, I can do pastoral care as well as curriculum and academic instruction. So I think upskilling is very important. And as the grade level coordinator, I also try to instill, upskilling in my team so they have those extra skills too. Because I always tell my team, I'm not always going to be the grade level coordinator. I know I want to move on. I know I want to be a principal one day. So when I leave this role as grade level coordinator, any one of you should just be able to pick it up and keep moving. So I delegate tasks in my team. So I want them to know all of the same things I know, all of the same things I do. I have them do it with me. All of the documents I have to fill out, all of the data, let's look at this. We do it together. So it's not just me saying, oh, team, I'll take care of this. No, we look at it together. You're going to gain these skills with me. I don't demand it, but my whole thing is, yeah, you're going to gain these skills with me. So it's not, when I leave, someone has to train you on it. You already know. So I think upskilling is very important for teachers.
Yeah, I love that. I was just thinking in my book, I talk about the glass half full, the glass half empty, or actually the glass opportunity. And your whole sort of mindset is around everything rather than if you're asked to take on a pastoral role, you're not saying, oh, no, I can't do it. Or you're not sort of going, oh, okay. You're saying, actually, there's an opportunity for me to grow, to develop, to see if my skills can go into that. And actually, it's really surprised you from the sound of it that where you were asked to take on an extra role, you sort of discovered that you had empathetic skills and other skills that you know that you possessed. I love that.
So I can say last year as grade level leader and this year as grade level leader. Last year, I feel like I was miserable in the role because I didn't gain any skills being in middle leadership last year. It was simply you are the liaison between the principal and the grade. It was just delivering messages. I was begging for tasks to do because, I was talking to my husband once and I was like, this role feels a little bit pointless just delivering messages. And this year we are under new leadership in elementary. And this new principal we have, she's delegated tasks. She's like told us, out with the old, in with the new. You guys are future building leaders, our future principals. And like I was jumping for joy because that's all I wanted. I'm not a complacent person. I've been in the military. I've gotten a doctorate before 30. So you can just see the type of person I am. I always want a task to do. So I was jumping with joy at the opportunity to finally develop those leadership skills and actually having the support from, my senior leadership as well. Like, yes, I encourage you, enhance grade 4's curriculum, enhance, pilot programs, do whatever you need.
Yeah.
So yeah, that felt really good. So the role last year felt completely different. And I feel like I was becoming burnt out last year because I was bored in the role with nothing to do. Because I felt like I was coming to school and I was teaching my class and I was going home. It wasn't, of course, my classroom was exciting, but we had leadership that was in our leadership positions for 10 years plus without change. And you know how that can go. It gets complacent. And, I felt like I'm young. I'm coming in with these fresh ideas. No one wants to listen to me, blah, blah, blah. But I felt bored in the role and I was getting burnt out and not wanting to come to school because I was like, what am I coming for? We're doing the same thing again, same field trip, same this. Like literally my grade had been going on the same field trip for the last 5 years, same place. But this year, I have full control to do as I please, and I feel less burnt out. Even though I have more work to do, more tasks, more documents to fill out, it feels rewarding to me. I feel like I'm making a change, I'm making a difference. So I don't see it as, oh, I just have more work to do.
I've never had anyone on my podcast say to me, I was bored and actually unfulfilled, I think. And therefore, I started to feel burnt out. And isn't that interesting that actually once you were given some autonomy and some, I guess, given a little bit of control over some of your choices with your class and with your activities, then you started to be much more buzzy about the role and excited about coming into school. So it's not simple, is it? This whole thing about burnout and I just hope some leaders who might be listening to this will hear about the impact and the power of giving their teachers some autonomy and saying, how would you do it? Would you do it differently? Could we change this? Because actually, that's very exciting for us, because when we feel that we are invested and we know why we're doing it and it's our baby, if you like, then it gives us energy and drive to actually invest in it. I love that. And I'm so grateful, Christin, for your time. And I love the impact of your military experience is enormous on the organizational side and the discipline side. And I'm sure all of us could learn from that. I certainly could. If people want to sort of follow you or find out more about you, where would they find you? I'll certainly put the link in the bio, but what would you say to them?
I am 100% active on LinkedIn. I don't use any other social media platform. I have them, but I don't use them much. I like keeping up with trends. I like knowing what's coming up. So I'm mostly active on LinkedIn, and you can find me by my name, Christin Booker Mutaro. And on LinkedIn, I'm posting articles, I post polls. I like being, engaged with people. Send me a message. I'll write under your post what's going on, what's happening. So I just like keeping up with education world because it changes so quick.
Yeah.
It changes very quick.
Yeah, it certainly does. I think you've inspired us all to go do a bit more learning. So thanks, Christin. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for listening. I hope you took something of value from today. If you want to connect, I'm at rowenahicks.com, or I have a Facebook group, which is Preventing Teacher Burnout. So I look forward to connecting to you at one of those.